Calling all card fighters. We welcome you to the Dojo, a Card Fighters podcast, starting now.
What's up, guys? My name is Nar Samurai, and welcome to the Dojo. We're back after a 1-week hiatus. Today we got the one and only Matt Rivers, and coming to us for the first time, he's one of our final team members. We added him last minute. He is not Moist Critical, first off.
Surprise.
Jared Maxfield, or how we like to call him, Moist Vanguard.
What's up, guys? I am the newest member of Team Eclipse, also the newest member to the game. I'm kind of like their little project, I guess you could say. I started at the pre-release of Set 4 for Overdress, so I'm pretty new. Picked up Premium pretty quick to kind of get out of Standard, and I'm no regrets, no looking back. Premium's so much more fun.
You're just going to end it there? Premium is so much more fun?
I mean,
it's true.
It's true. I don't think Standard's bad. I don't think Standard isn't fun, but I come from Magic and a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm very used to having a lot of options to pick from, and having more than like one deck per nation was a little bit more variety, I guess you could say, a little bit more spice to the meta.
All right. I'll accept the word spice.
I like that one.
Yeah.
So to give you guys a rundown, what's going to be happening in today's podcast, we are going to be covering the recent JP ban list, restrictions as well, and also fighters rulebook changes, and we'll get to that later, what we mean by that, as well as the prediction for the English ban list that was actually supposed to be today as of Friday. What was it? Friday,
17th.
January the 17th?
Yeah.
Sorry, June 17th.
June, yeah.
I wish we were in January.
No.
It's way too hot here in Florida.
Yeah.
So, we're supposed to get a ban list today. And instead of getting a ban list on our weekly bits, because we don't get a stream, right? They move it to July 8th. Honestly, I think this was a good move because we can see that Bushiroad was just not ready after our resolve of how we felt about the JP ban list. And I'm not just saying straight away from the English side of things with Europe, US, some Singaporeans, right? I don't even know that's the thing. I apologize in advance. But for JP side of things, right? JP did not like their own ban list either.
I mean, can't really blame them. It really didn't feel very impactful. It didn't feel like they hit any big names or anything.
Yeah. Some of them were just like out of nowhere. But yeah.
Now, I do 100% agree with the Inlet Magnolia Choice Restrict.
All right. So we get to that one.
Yeah, we'll go back.
No worries. So my issue with the Inlet Magnolia Choice Restrict, right, is that it was foreseen, right?
Yeah. We knew it was coming.
Yes. But in terms of where D format has been before, it's way too early still.
Think so?
I like to compare this to the Leonard issue back in set 2.
Okay. I remember that. I played it.
All right. Leonard was this overbearing card. It literally made Bruce the best deck in set 2. All right. The only deck that had an advantage to it at the time was Barrow, which is funny enough. The other Dark States deck. So Dark States were leading the front. Now Barrow was fine. It was pretty tamed. It did its one thing, and then if it didn't kill in 2 turns, it decked out. It didn't have that new grade 2. But for Bruce, it had this card that can just call 2 cards if the attack hit. Or if the attack hit the column. Because that card said when it swings, if you're in final rush, you attack that whole column that you're swinging at, right? Any of them hit, you get to soul charge 1, and then you can call a card to an open rear circle. 2 cards we had at the time was, I believe, Madonna. Was that her name? Marjorie, and his name's not Upstream Dragon. It's Protobulb. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 cards I was able to go to Soul. Or Marjorie put something else.
A rear guard into Soul,
and Protobulb was boosting Leonard. And what Portable says is at the end of the battle, counterblast one, put something to soul, right?
And add a card from the soul to the hand.
Exactly. So after you do that, then you activate the second end of battle effect of your Leonard that hit. You soul charge 2 and then call 2 from soul back to the field.
You soul 1 and call 1.
Yeah, one at a time.
Yeah.
All right. But what I'm getting at here, right, was that was busted during the time because you would be 1 attack, 2 attack, Vanguard swing, restand to 2, 3 attack, they go to soul. Sorry, 4th attack, they go to soul. 5th attack, swing, hits, recall field, 6 attack.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it now with like the grade 4 if they didn't make better cards for the other clans.
Nightmare.
Yeah. But then we get into the inlet Magnolia situation, right? The hand gets too big.
Yeah.
Because that's the debate, right? Does the hand get too big?
It's free real estate.
It's
basically.
free real estate. You have to get the card out.
I mean, sure, you got to draw the card. That's true.
Yeah,
You have to draw the card.
If you don't see it, you die. I still lose to the Bastion. Sometimes. They high roll. It's called high roll.
Okay.
Just check OT.
Okay. All right. But in the grand scheme of things, I understand the hit. My only issue, right, is we're talking about set 5 of a new format.
Yep.
And we're already getting hits on it. Where does it go from there? Does Inlet ever break away from Magnolia if new support comes in?
I mean, I think choice restrict at least was the better move than just restricting the card or banning the card.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have like 2 thoughts on it as well. Because like you remember the time, like I mained Bruce and I like had him for a while, got rid of him, got him back. But I played heavily during the Leonard era, and from a marketing standpoint, right, like Leonard did what he was supposed to do, right? He was built for Bruce, played in Bruce. Did they really play test it to see how broken it was? Not really. We can't really trust Bushiroad with how they test things. But with Inlet, it was designed for Flagberg. So, but Magnolia could pick it up and run with it harder than Flagberg. So now, at least for me, because like I looked at it as like a marketing thing. Now with the restriction, Inlet is now going to be focused in Flagberg, which gives technically another deck that's going to be seen more so. Because like realistically, Flagberg was hardly ever used. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
You still have Inlet and Aurora.
Yeah, I'm getting there. And then also we got the new set from set 5, which gives us Roroa. Honestly, if they didn't hit Magnolia with Inlet, I doubt Roroa would have been played for Stoicheia players.
Yeah, and
Like-
I don't feel like Aurora with Inlet is going to be too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to Magnolia Grade 3.
Yeah.
Because you're only
Yeah.
going to get the 4 attacks, and then your other inlets on the field would just be too forced to soul to draw more cards.
Yeah.
But they're not really attacking. So that's where I guess I see the deck does better. Now, I'm not saying that Bushiroad did this, but it also lowered the price of Inlet on TCG Player. It went from a $30 card to $17.
Yeah, Flagbird players.
It's probably still dropping, but last time I saw, and the last time content creators on Twitter, more specifically, I think She Devil Gaming was posting it, and it was dropping down to 17. So that was crazy.
That's good. I mean, making the game more affordable is always good.
Yeah. To an extent.
So we move on a little bit. We're going to go through the ban list, but I do want to take it back right now, all right? Because right before the ban list, we got a Fighters Rule update, which I would still consider part of the ban list, and it kind of like hurt my soul because I just ordered all the cards. But it's not that bad because the cards are still good.
Right.
So I guess I'll say it, and then you explain your thoughts on it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is currently
Yeah.
your new deck and all that, right?
Right, yeah.
After the reveal of Glenidos, we were given a Fighters Rule update on reverse units for V Premium and Premium, where reverse units, if they're in the Link Joker deck and they're not Link Joker cards, they become vanillas. They lose their skills, their abilities, and their markers. So you can't get a marker if you write that card. You can't activate its ability, but you do still remain and keep its power. That's pretty much it. What's funny enough, it actually does say removes all skills and abilities, right?
Yeah.
So it no longer has a continuous auto and act ability.
Yeah, they basically lose all card text.
See, which is kind of funny because I don't know if you know about this. There are decks built around not having a continuous auto or act ability.
Yeah.
And that's where Cyclone comes in, the Cray Elemental card. But before we get into that, we can no longer do the loops like Maelstrom, FX Buster, and Spectro Dupe.
True.
What's your thoughts on that?
So, as someone who has recently kind of picked up and played with Messiahs in a couple different builds, I personally think vanilla Messiahs was the most fun. Maybe not the most like forward powerful, because undeniably the Maelstrom, Riddle Biter loops are strong. If you get them to that 4 damage, you've basically got game if they don't have any sort of interruption to deal with the riddle. But when I played with those builds, it felt a lot more inconsistent because you're running 2 different engines. So Riddle was fine because Riddle can still work with Vocal Greed and all that. But if you had your, Maelstrom in hand instead of your Messiah grade 3, you kind of screwed yourself out. So I'm personally fine with this change because I like playing vanilla Messiahs. But I know a lot of people are probably going to be a little, on edge or on fence about it because, you see people playing Excel Messiahs with Hyaki Vogue and Maelstrom and all that. And that's just not a thing anymore. So I know some people are probably going to be a little upset, but
No, I understand being upset a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Moving, or like not fully moving on, but do I think these loops were an issue, right? And I guess the best thing I can say about these loops is like they weren't unstoppable.
Right.
Like one person can argue that the Riddle Biter loop, right, is unstoppable, right? But if you play one of the 1/3 of decks that can pop it or send it to Soul,
Yeah. I think the issue is that, or the issue that a lot of people might have is that it's interactable with a G card. So you have to be playing one of the decks that can interact with it, which, let's be honest, a lot of people are, so I don't think that's an issue. But then you have to have one of your 4 of heals in hand, which are not bad odds, but they are odds that you have to play around. And it's a lot, I guess, easier for someone to just get into the Riddle loop because they can hold on to those pieces from opening hand if they wanted to. So I think that's where maybe some people's issues with the loops may have been. They're not unstoppable, but you have to have the pieces to stop them.
Or check defensive over to live.
Well, that doesn't even work either with the Riddle loop because
Oh,
the
yeah.
Riddle
It's
gains
infinite power.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
even if you defensive over,
It
it
wasn't-
will eventually get
It
there.
wasn't 100 million. For a
if
while,
they
I was
can't
sitting
pop
here-
it, you could just constantly attack. And if you
Yeah.
prove you can constantly attack, you could just say you went to 100 million.
So yeah, if Riddle's on that force 2 and they're at 4 damage, they have to take it. Now, how you can get out of it would be as if you defensive overed the Riddle or healed the Riddle, right? So you take the Riddle hit, and if you hit a heal or defensive over, then it stops. But if you defensive over on like an earlier hit, he's still gonna eventually get there.
The loop will keep going as long as the attack doesn't hit.
Yeah, which is where the Excel loop got a little bit more scary.
So it's actually funny. I said 1/3 of decks can pop it, retire it, or put it to Soul, right?
Yeah,
I did not think this, but technically Angel Feather can now stop the attack because its G Guardian can
Yeah.
heal 1.
that's true. They can just take the hit.
That's funny.
So as long as they stay at 4.
That's hilarious.
Well, actually, they would have to guard one of them and then take the second one.
yeah. But guarding 1 is not hard because they start small.
Yes.
Not even that. It's like they're a protect deck.
Yeah.
Oh, you swung something that can get infinite? PG.
And then the following
on.
turn, they can just heal 2 again
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the new Zarakio.
Yeah. The new... I can't.
I give up on the
I give
names.
up too.
No, I will say though, the new
Yeah.
Stride looks really cool, really fun. I think it has potential of healing like 5 damage in a turn if you go all in on it.
It's hilarious. But like for me with Glindios and the reveal, like this is gonna come from a biased standpoint, okay? I personally have a deep-seated hatred of Link Joker.
Yeah, we've heard this.
We were
So seeing them suffer, that is a great day for me. I'm just like, oh yes, this is good. This was such a good day. But that was anyway.
No, it's fine. I'm just double checking, make sure our audio's high.
Yeah. So, but also like seeing it from like back into like as a card design standpoint, and not really the biased way. I can see like 110% that people are going to be up in arms about it. Mm-hmm. But like,
What do you mean by up in arms?
that
It's such a big change. You're
The reverse
guaranteed
unit
to have.
change.
not really. So
It's actually not a big change because originally reverse units technically fell under this issue.
I was getting to that.
Because Limit Break had the specific term listed above it called Lord.
Yep.
Or Lord, sorry.
Yeah.
Which says that this card loses its abilities if there's a card with a different
clan.
plan as it.
Yeah. So technically, we're just going back to how things used to be.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, I feel like it was the good choice that
But
if
this-
we were going to get Glendios, this had to happen.
Right.
But this then brings up another issue, right? It's a really small issue. But in premium, you can technically build a deck filled with the reverse units, Cray Elementals, and like LJ triggers just to guard.
Right.
And the whole idea of this deck originally was just so that you can write any reverse unit you want and go ham with it. Right? But now that deck doesn't even work anymore because you have no access to reverse units. Because the idea was like your field will be Cray Elementals.
Right.
And your Vanguard will be a different reverse unit. Because all the Cray Elementals are from all clans and nations, they can activate their skills. But since now, if you're playing reverse units in a Link Joker deck, the second you run a trigger that's a Link Joker card, it's a Link Joker deck.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of like hit that little like funny spot where you can build a deck full of random grade 3s to fit your situation. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, the other Cray Elemental deck that you don't need to run too many Cray Elementals that would use it really wisely is you can run Cyclone with the Glendos deck or Chaos deck now and run the reverse units, and the reverse units will gain additional power for Cyclone. Glendos will be your better bet because it makes them an 18k base instead of their 12 and 13s. You become an 18k base. You have the Cyclone for each one face up. They get an additional, what, +5?
Something like that.
Yep. So they become 23s, 28s, and then you start running the grade 1 Cray Elementals that are 15k guards, and they also gain +5k.
Yeah. And doesn't
41K
Glendios
columns?
get a force gift? Yeah. He has a force gift. So yeah, you can run force 2 instead of 1 because you don't need the power.
Yep. And then you can stride into the new Link Joker stride as long as you're able to turn up Cyclone somehow, right? And the new Link Joker stride is just counterblast one top 7, call 2 cards locked, and then unlock them or bounce them to your hand. So you can just keep calling things that are technically vanillas and keep attacking.
Yeah.
So overall, added one new way to deal with things, but at the same time, like you removed probably the soon-to-be obnoxious meta from Messiahs, right?
Right.
Right.
Now, does this make a lot of Messiah players upset? Yes. Would I say I'm upset about it, even though I barely play Messiahs? Yes.
Because you bought everything.
Not because I bought everything. Because Messiahs haven't been given support. And this was in some way a support for Messiahs. Because the last thing we got was from Silver Dust Blaze. You understand?
It's a weird kind of
Yeah.
indirect support.
Yes.
For the size.
Yeah.
But not getting support for a while and not being able to upgrade ever since Silver Dust Blaze is a little rough for Messiah players.
Yeah. I mean, there's the one promo that is coming, but even that's kind of
Yeah.
It's just a promo.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a promo.
It's just a grade 2.
Yeah.
Its effect is okay.
We don't count promos as like upgrades because it's not from a set. You don't get to
I mean,
like
fair
open
enough.
packs for it, bro. You got to get that pack feeling.
I mean, you say that, but like the Mordred promo was pretty good.
Okay, but that's different.
I'm just
It's also Shadow Paladins. How much support do they get a year? Like,
enough.
yeah. yeah, leave it at that.
So now that's my one cup of tea about it. But depending on where we go for V clan selection, if we start touching Legion or G era cards, which I think we are going to start touching G era cards because of the new retroactive Maiden that we got for Gear Chronicle, I feel we can go into that direction.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the ban list, we're leaving the Weird Fighters Collective Change. V Premium, they only hit one card, and it was a card that I can care less about, honestly.
It's a card I had never heard of.
It is the Nubatama card, Kuragiri. I got this, guys, I promise.
I have it.
Yeah.
I have it already.
All right.
You and your privacy screen.
All
Can't
right.
look.
Stealth Beast, Koko Shigarasu.
Kushigarasu. We'll say.
You see, he can say it better. He's watched
Yeah.
a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen.
True.
Yeah.
All right. It was restricted. It's banned. Okay. They banned a card. So for V Premium, that made you bounce your whole field to your hand and then discard 5. Now, I do understand this ban.
Yeah.
Because with Daihausen, you can continuously keep returning cards to your opponent's hand. So then when you make them bounce nothing to discard 5 from hand,
They're just
you're
dropping
pretty
5.
much ripping them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, the cost for this card is to discard 2 Sentinels from hand, which is not that difficult for a Protect deck.
Yeah.
So,
every turn.
as a non-V Premium player, I think I understand this hit.
Right.
Because if you
Right.
continuously keep getting cards that can bounce things back to your opponent's hand before even attacking, I can see where the issue rises. The Hausen cards, though, the grade 1 and grade 2, only bounce when they attack. So this is the weird timing that I can mention here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's also kind of why I don't see it as a problem still being a thing in premium, because even if you're running, Daihausen and premium, you're going to be striding over him. You're not bouncing as much.
I mean, worst case, you just go into arena and it's the same thing
Exactly.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Now, like, since I played a lot of V, and one of the main decks that I ran was Nubas, but this was before we had Daihausen. The deck that I thought of originally was Shiranui, because Shiranui could do this first grade 3 ride, which was really bad. Because you ride the base Shiranui, and then you activate its effect, go into Shiranui Oboro. Now you already have the 2 Protect gifts in your hand.
Yeah. You get it guaranteed. You don't even, the other ones could do it theoretically on the first grade 3, but they would have had to hit the PG
Yeah.
off of a drive check or just from a draw.
And then you have the other Mizukage, who Soul Blast a grade 3. You do that on turn 4, because if you had another copy of the base Shiranui in your hand, you can call it. When it swings, it pushes itself into the soul.
Yeah.
So now you have 2 grade 3s already.
Mizukaze is locked and loaded.
Yeah, it is locked, loaded, and ready to go. Yes, you're running a lot of grade 3s in your deck. I won't lie to you, but it can be done.
Yeah.
So the Mizukaze card is still not an issue in my opinion, as long as you're not able to strictly choose a card from the drop to call to the field, unless you're playing Shiranui.
Right.
And you have a Shiranui heart, or you don't need a heart, you just need a Shiranui card. So you can call this grade 2 that says if you have a Shiranui Vanguard, choose a card from your opponent's drop and call it to the field. If you're able to do that twice, you kind of guaranteed game, but then you're using a lot of resources to just do it, because you have to Soul Blast 2 grade 3s. Wait, was it 2? No, 1 grade 3.
It'd be 1 grade 3.
Yeah.
Soul Blast 1 grade 3, Counter Blast 2, and you get to call 2 of your choice, and then they have to figure out how to guard for the rest. Now, they G guard all the way, they get it that way.
I mean,
You know,
they
it
had
is
the
what it is.
G guards in hand.
Yeah.
They earned it.
They had it. They got it.
At that point, you might as well just say, all right, good job.
Yeah.
Game 2.
Now, with this logic, we are talking about hand rip. We go into premium, where they decide to hit another card that hand rips. Dragon Knight Navari. I am pretty sure it's a Dragon Knight. I will double check here. Dragon
Yeah.
Knight Navari. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So Navari got hit to 0, but it's actually the weirdest hit, in my opinion, because premium had a lot of issues this season. One originally being the Nightmare Dolls.
Yep.
Nightmare Dolls continuous attacking, being able to continuously loop and restanding, was it Ellie, with sending Alice to the soul
Yeah.
and calling back out. I'm good with names, guys. When I
We
can read
promise you we're good with names.
them. Okay.
But-
The grade 1 that restands every time
Yeah.
Alice goes to soul, and then like it's this really big number.
See, you're better at this than I am because you remember names. I just go by a picture.
Well, I don't even remember names. I remember skills. I still don't think it's Ellie.
I remember what kills me.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So as we go on, right, we had the Nightmare Doll issue. And then Premium tried to fix that issue with Stoicheia and Mega Colony running the Dragon grade 3 for Stoicheia that says on place on Vanguard Circle, choose a order in your drop zone and activate it without paying its cost, which took advantage of an V Premium order, which is the book. I can't remember its name for the book. Don't
I
try
mean,
me.
everyone's gonna know
Everyone
if you say
calls it the
Now,
book.
Yeah.
the card was Counter Blast 3, Soul Blast 3, but you don't have to pay for that cost.
Yeah, it's free.
It's
It's
free
free.
now, right?
Just put it in a drop.
And the what you earn from paying that cost is you draw 3 cards and then your front row gets 10K. Only the current front row. Okay, not continuously. So this is where like my issue rises, right? They were able to get an additional 3 cards on ride. Technically 4 if you persona ride over the dragon. So constant 4 cards in hand, and then Frone's getting plus 20 because if you persona rode,
You get
when
the
the game
persona
can,
ride
you also
and
get the
then
persona
the-
ride, which is continuous.
Yeah.
Board continuous, by the way. You don't need to have a Vanguard to gain that skill.
Yeah.
And then you would stride into Gridora, which stopped your opponent from G-guarding and standing its units.
Yep.
And you cannot call cards
Not from your hand.
not from your hand. So you can only call cards from your hand, which Jewel Knight was able to get around.
Yes.
That's a good thing right there.
Thankfully for me, Jewel Knights does
Yeah.
not really care about the bugs matchup. Now, their hand size is annoying. You know, until you get Crystal Luster Guard Restrict, their hand size does make it hard to push once you're both at grade 3. But it's nice just pretty much being unaffected by their game plan. Because I'm still going to go into Salem. I'm going to call from hand. I'm not going to restand anyway.
Yeah, and it was painful for us a touch with my
touch?
deck. Yeah, because I recently added Ezold on my list, and we had to slot back in the Golden Dragon. That's like, I forget exactly what his full name is, but when he swings, you bounce 2 of your rear guards back, and then you call 2 from hand. So because Gridora says you can only call cards from hand, he can get around that.
Yeah. Now, does it call for different names, or can you just call the same two?
You can call whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, and then what you want to do is you want to call Wonder Ezel, and Wonder Ezel says call 2 more from your hand.
You just get a whole new board.
You get a whole new board, okay?
These guys. But where Gridora kind of rises, Gridora was the answer alone to Pale Moon, but nothing else. Because after which you still have to deal with every other clan and what they did. Now, the response with the book made it difficult for other clans to gain the advantage. Because no matter what, the Vanguard is the game of how far can you drop your opponent's hand. Now, there are clans that don't matter about that, like Dimension Police. This is how hard can I hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or OTT, where you can't guard.
Yeah. How hard can I remove cards from hand or make them unusable? That's the game of Vanguard.
Yeah.
Mega Colony having the ability to just constantly get 4 cards before a dry check is insane.
Yeah.
Now, someone may argue, you just have to ride the card.
I mean,
You just have to see the card. And I was like, okay,
that
let's go with that logic.
Yeah, that argument kind of.
If you find it once, you already drew 3 cards and then draw check 3, right? You also run the card searching for grade 3 to add to hand. So your chances of getting it are pretty high as long as you get the 1. Then the other issue, what about the book? It's also a grade 3. You
So
can
grade
search
3
for
You
searchers.
can search it.
Exactly.
And you're pulling these odds, 3 of 4 of however many you run out of 44, because starter plus 5 cards opening hand, the odds are not bad. Even without the searchers, the odds are pretty good that you're going to find.
43 if you count first draw.
True, 43.
So overall, they got really good. Following that, for P clan selection, they are getting another card that's really good.
Yeah.
Where it says, if this card's face up in your G zone or on the Vanguard circle, you can counterblast 1 and your opponent loses 10K. What?
If it wasn't already hard enough to guard them.
So I'm gonna tell you the issue I have with Mega Colony right now, and it's not Gridora, surprisingly. Okay,
Right, yeah.
it is
Right.
the constant hand size because they literally have a card in their G zone when they need hand size, and it makes your opponent be okay because they don't have to worry about Gridora, and that is overwhelm. But with this card, you literally make their G Guardian, which is their Strive, which is a solution to hand size, useless.
Yeah.
It becomes flip fodder. Now, am I supposed to say, well, eventually cards just end up that way, Frankie? He's like, yeah, of course. Of course. I understand that. But it shouldn't be at the result of a Stoicheia common.
Yeah, and the thing when you think about it, right, is the book has an extreme cost for a reason.
Yes.
Right? One of the most powerful statements in a card game is draw a card. Because at the end of the day, right,
That's one less card you're
everything you
Yeah.
can do is reliant on the amount of cards in your hand, or the cards specifically in your hand. Just drawing a card outside of the fixed card draw in a game is already a powerful skill. But drawing 3, now we're getting a little up there,
when you're starting to be above pot of greed, there's an issue.
Exactly. Pot of Greed was banned for a reason, guys.
Bro, if you're persona writing and you're giving 20K to the front row and drawing 4 cards, buddy, we
And
got to
then
talk
drive
about
checking.
this.
Don't forget, you're still drive checking,
You still got your triple drive,
Yeah.
okay?
It's gonna sink down real quick.
You can pull down your
Don't look
over
at me, I
trigger and draw
promise.
2 more cards.
My deck's fair too, I promise.
Yeah.
You can just get pretty big, guys. It's
Yeah.
the honest and true issue with Mega Colony. Now, what do I think needs to be hit in English? Now, please, English Bashira, listen to me. Do not hit Gridora. That is not the card.
No.
Okay? The only people that want that to happen are Pale Moon players, and we'll talk about you guys in a second.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We will get there.
We will get there. I know
We see you.
we saw we talked about you at that stop sign, but we're coming back. Okay?
Yeah.
We're making that U-turn.
Yeah. It was just a roundabout.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
coming back.
We're going to start with the biggest hurdle, right? The issue is the dragon and the book. Now, there's several ways that they could hit this, right? They can hit the book and just ban the book entirely, right? Because that dragon can still be run in Neo Nectar,
Right.
in
Zoo. All of Zoo. So
all of Zoo,
Nectar.
and all of Mega
Great
Nectar.
Nectar.
Yeah.
Minus Bermuda.
Minus,
Well, yeah, but
Zoo and Megalonica minus Bermuda. Okay? That is 6 clans. 5 clans.
5.
That's a lot of clans.
I mean, look at United Sanctuary.
Yeah, but United Sanctuary got that Stoicheia card.
listen.
Also, remember,
Listen, we're working. We're working, okay?
if you want to talk about United Sanctuary, your choice restricted on the over trigger and the Xeroth Dragon. Okay?
And listen,
You already got hit.
I don't need you to bring up old wounds. Okay? Listen, I'm still not over it. Just let me over a second.
Now, before you even go and be like, what about Dragon Empire? They hit the Zari.
We'll be okay. We'll be okay.
You made royal paladins. You're just here to suffer.
I mean, listen.
All right.
Okay,
Let's get back to it.
Back to reality.
Yeah.
I don't think hitting the book in general is the answer,
No.
right? Because I do think a Counter Blast 3, Soul Blast 3 is worth the cost, right?
Yeah.
I do think that not restricting the grade 3 is the answer either. I don't want you to restrict it with Mega Colony. That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You need to restrict it or ban it from premium, honestly. That grade 3's got to go.
Yeah.
All right? Because even if you ban the book, you can just make another one. We know you guys. You guys are going to make another one.
Yeah.
If you don't make another one, you're going to make an order card that has a skill that lets you draw a card in Alchemy Magic and then lets you play another card without having to have the grade 3 Zorga. And then you can activate a card that draws 2. And then you did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think between the two, the dragon is definitely the enabler, right? Because the book being its cost, if you're just paying its cost, that's fine. You're
Of
getting
course.
a pretty fair effect for the amount that you're paying.
Mm-hmm.
But it becomes a problem when you're getting it for free.
Yes.
So however they choose to do it, right? Because there's a couple ways they do it. However they choose to break this link between the dragon and the book, I think that's the healthier way to go about it than just getting rid of the book or just all around getting rid of the dragon.
Yes. Now, I will say, Busho, you already did find the issue for keeping Mega Colony relevant. You made that new stride. The new stride works from the G zone. So, act, you flip it face up with Gridora, and then you can activate that card. Now, yeah, you did use a good chunk of counterblast, but you'll countercharge it later. You have access to that. It's called Overwhelm or something else. All right?
Butterfly or something?
Yes.
Or a moth?
Moth.
It's a moth.
Yeah.
Yo, what's countercharge? I don't know what that is.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You'll get there
So-
eventually.
Will we?
No.
No, okay.
Now, some people may be asking, how does the new stride help with hand size, right? It's like, well, you won't be gaining hand size, but you would be deteriorating your opponents. As long as you're above your opponent's hand size, you're able to commit further into the game. Now, -10 your opponent is a big deal because there's other clans that used to be able to do this. One actually was Link Joker playing the leaders. They would make you 0, and then they would attack you 5 to 6 times because of given, which was a really good part of the leaders at the time.
I'm excited for the day the leaders come back.
Yeah. We'll make sure you're set with the leaders.
Yeah.
All right. So that is going to be my
Don't
total.
look at me like that.
These guys, they work too well together. I'm gonna have to like separate them soon, like a teacher. I tell you.
You act like you're surprised.
I shouldn't be. At this point, hey, continue.
Thank you. So, I think that's the answer. You gotta just hit the dragon because the dragon's gonna be used again. It's gonna reappear and it's gonna use something else to make things broken.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they make an order that just gives 10k to the front row, the dragon can just end up being ran in Aquaforce. After doing Genovius like 7 times and just going into the dragon, give 10k to the front row.
I don't think I'd use that in Aquaforce. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Also,
Leave that there.
Genovius wise, you can just write it, give 10k to the front continuously, draw 3, and then activate Odysseus and keep writing Genovius. And then the field just has massive power. I still think the Glory way is better. You go into Glory, you counterblast, and then you do Odysseus, and then you have Genovius, and they only can guard 1 card each time. And you have a bunch of Excel circles. There's a lot of ways you can do it, I promise you. And then you run like
You
9
the
front
sound of
triggers because all you need is 1 front for all the attacks to hit.
Continue.
I know. I know it's a lot of information. This is why we're talking about the ban list here, right?
We got the workshop for Aquaforce. Don't worry about that.
I know.
Oh yeah, I'm in
Now-
the works. I'm in.
We move into the
works.
second clan that was an issue originally, but was stopped by Mega Colony at the time. And that is Pale Moon.
We came back to you.
You guys already got hit earlier with the Perryton triple restriction, where you can't use Perryton, old Jumping Jill, and new Purple Trapezes. I think Jumping Jill and Purple Trapezes. New Jumping Jill, old Purple Trapezes, and Perryton were all choice restricted.
Correct.
Okay? Most confusing choice restrict I've ever seen.
The 3-way. You get 1, and that's it.
Just
Choice
think-
restriction.
Just think of the weapon triangle.
Now,
They thought that a triple restriction wasn't good enough for one clan. They did it again for Shadows and Beasts. So.
this is true. This is true.
Yeah, they
now,
did it
if you do
again.
hear a shadow in the background, that is our boy Nick. He is going to be in the comment section if you're watching on Discord today. If you
Discord.
are,
Discord.
sorry, not Discord. If
We
you're
will admit.
if you're watching on Twitch today, if not, you guys are hanging out and watching this the next day on Spotify and Apple Music. Thank you guys and welcome. Now, answer to Pale Moon, the one and only
Just get rid of the
Nightmare Dolls. What do we get rid of?
Grade 1.
The gray one must be you get rid of. Yes, we are all in agreement. The gray one cannot just keep restanding with Alice. Even if they limit it to 1, the amount of soul charging you can do in that deck just so you can call things out is obnoxious.
Yep.
Literally,
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a 3-way cycle with Alice, a grade 2, and then the grade 1.
It's so bad,
Yeah.
and I just can't with it. No more.
RIP Google Podcast users. I don't actually read chat, but this is the first time I did, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have Google Podcast, guys. That's too much work. That's like Google Plus. Who would use that?
I use Google plus. I'm kidding.
Well, you
Bro.
can watch this podcast.
So, back to the thing. I do think the grade 1 is the answer. Do Nightmare Dolls die? Absolutely not. You guys have a lot of access to superior writing over and over again. Getting multi-attacks of Alice. Use all your counterblast, but that was the point originally with Nightmare Dolls. So you take it or leave it. I'm not trying to be mean, but it is what it is. Proceeding into that, we now go into a deck that was stopped by Nightmare Dolls a tiny bit. And does it really need to get restricted? And this is where I get a little bit biased because I'm going to be talking about Narukami. And
begins.
Yeah. Here we go.
I am not in denial. You guys are all going to say it.
Because you are.
Stunverse.
Gotta go.
It does not have to go.
Fine. It's
I
literally
do
fine.
I do think Stunverse is okay where it's at. Now, we're getting into the weird scenario. Is hand rip an issue in Vanguard? And I disagree. Hand rip is not an issue in Vanguard. It is a mechanic given to have access to. Now, where people may start being issued is the deck hand ripping have too many extra skills, making it difficult for the opponent to play around, which was a conversation I had with a Nova Grappler player the other day. And they were talking about how Narukami has access to way too many things. It can control the field. It can gain massive power. It can multi-attack. And it can hand rip me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I will say Narukami is my favorite clan. I love it. But does it have too much? How do I get
Let it out. It's
Just-
okay.
Just come out with it.
Just
I will say that Narukami has too many mechanics under its belt.
he said it. Thank you, God.
But
It happens.
but
Rip that
I do not think the deck needs to be hindered for it. Now, where do I get to this? I do not think Stunverse is the thing that needs.
Pardon. Didn't he just say?
It had too many mechanics.
So doesn't that constitute
to
to
reducing
some of the
Yeah.
right?
No,
Wouldn't
I'm
you?
kind of with you on that. Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
Go ahead.
Okay. I do not think the hand ripping mechanic needs to leave.
Okay.
All right.
That's fair.
The reason for that is that Stunverse is the only way that Narukami could bind cards in order to reach its Thunderstrike requirements in the deck. A good conversation that people had was, should it be set to 2? 2 is whatever. That's fine. You know, if you hit me to 2, that's great. If you hit me to 1, you're kind of messing with me. Like, I can't do anything with 1. All right, the most I can bind out your hand is 2 if I'm lucky, if you give me 1. The reason people are worried is because when I get onto my third stride with Stunverse, I can take 6 cards, or 4 to 6 cards from hand.
Unless you're Stoic.
What?
Then unless you're Stoic.
Unless you're Stoichia. And you have... What's that card?
So you're talking about?
Yeah. I try to ignore it nowadays.
Yeah, he does.
Try to forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm getting Exterminate, my answer.
Bitch.
So, I do not think the hand rip's the issue, because as long as you play well around it, you end up not binding as much. Like, I played against Narukami the other day playing Gear Chronicle of all things, and at the time they went to the third one, I only bound 3 cards because I was pretty well understanding of how to keep cards off the field and off the drop. And I chose not to bind them. So after the third one, I kind of took lead on that. Was it a long game? Yes, it was. Next, we go into the power. This one I do think is an issue, but I don't think it's an issue for the power. I think it's an issue for the cards that gain the power. And this is where I get into Choa being an issue.
Yeah.
Choa
Yeah.
actually, I think, was just unrestricted, or was unrestricted in V Premium back to 4.
Yeah.
But I do think that Choa may be a card that needs to be restricted. I love the card as an Narukami
I'm
player,
sure you do.
but
Yeah.
I do think that it does give people a hard time into guarding the attacks because it gains the majority of the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the whole time too, you never know when that Dragon Over is gonna pop back up.
Yeah, that Dragon Over. And then there's another card that I saw you play yesterday when we were playing that it swung, kills itself, and then brings the thing behind it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about Spark Rain Dragon.
Yeah.
It gains 1k for every card in the bind, and then at the end of battle, it attacks. Counterblast 1, bind all cards in that column, all your opponent's card in the same column, and itself, and then move the card behind it up.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We're just adding to the list now.
Yeah,
aren't we?
that card is painful.
That
That
makes
one is very
that's painful.
But it's, I do think it's a little bit better or less of a worry than Cho, because Cho will be the continuous 2 swings of the same number or more.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And then that
Cho
card
is more
doesn't
aggressive.
need to gain power, and you give the power to a unit in the bat. So it's very irregular, depending
Yeah.
on what your opponent gives you.
Yeah, and doesn't Cho also have the ability to bind? I forget how the specifics of it, because your
Cho
board's
is
mostly gone.
on placed on the field. Counterblast 1 binds something, and then your opponent chooses a card from their back row and moves it up. But that's your choice if you want them to move it up.
Yeah, they get the choice on that one.
Oh, okay.
We don't get to choose the unit. You do. But we choose if you can move a card up. Which is not bad. It's another bind.
That's the
Next
kind
thing,
of effect
control.
That,
Control is the name of the game. That
Yeah.
card needs to stay in control. You can't take away control from Narukami, because then they're nothing. Because then you're just playing Novas at that point.
So I live by the rule that if you give your opponent the chance to do something, then why run the card?
Yes. I blinked.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then we get to the final one, right? Which is draw. This one's weird. Because I don't know if we need the draw mechanic. But in terms of Eradicators, I do. Because Eradicators doesn't draw at all.
So I have I don't know. It comes back to what I said. I think one of the strongest statements in a card game is draw a card, right? And I don't think just the idea of how much card draw they can, dish out is an issue in of itself. But coming back to the grand scheme of how many other things that they have, feels like it's mostly an issue because of how much they're drawing. Like, they have so many different things they can do, but they can do them because of how many cards they're drawing. They're basically guaranteed at that point to get their pieces. And
Yeah.
pretty much the only way to stop that is to guard them early, to not let them get their on hits. And at that point, they're effectively hand ripping you anyway.
Now, I would say that, Narukami still never gets a big hand size. It stops at 9,
Right.
and then gets lower.
Yeah.
So it never exceeds single digits.
It never gets obscene.
Yeah. Because no matter what, the cards I draw, I end up calling out.
Yeah.
And if I'm not calling out, I had no cards in hand anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only cards that are letting me draw are both 2 strides, Stunverse, and
The new one.
the new Exterminate. The other way I draw is from writing and getting an Excel and drawing card, but that's plussing 0.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you're expecting of an Excel clan anyway.
Yeah.
So that's not anything out of ordinary.
Yeah.
So I do think the biggest thing that's probably making Narukami way too much of an issue is the power gain, right? Now, do I still think they should give power? Yes. I do think units shouldn't be getting that power, which means they would have to be restricted or banned. Because if it's too easy for me to get Cho, then people are going to just have a rough time overall. There are answers to it. I could replace Cho and end up running Dragonic Descendant Sigma, but then I'm discarding a card from hand to stand it if the attack does not hit. But if you let it hit, it doesn't restand. So it's a little bit, your opponent can easily pair around that card.
Yeah.
And then other
has
than
a lot
that
more.
is the Spark Grain you mentioned, but I will need another unit called from hand in order to move up. So I'll be losing more cards from hand from doing so. So Cho is the main card. And I do think that could be a restriction that you guys can consider. Stunverse to do, if you do it, you do it. I'm not going to complain about it. I don't even go into Stunverse that many past 2 anyway. So
Yeah.
if you do it, you don't change me at all. I have Exterminate.
My decks aren't built to last to a third Stunverse anyway.
Exactly. And then I have, once I bind 12 of your cards, I can just go into Voltage, and just Formal gains 3k for each bind card. So
What's third stride like?
Or We just go into closer, baby.
We just go in the closer, baby. Just bind the field. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh my god, you and your GB8s.
Yeah.
GBA is, for Narukami is just so good. Just bind the whole field and then our whole front row.
Yeah, I think so. With the topic of Narukami, right, from a new player perspective, and it could be just because the decks I play do not particularly do well into Narukami, outside of just rushing, right? Because if you win the rush game, sure, that's fine. If you get it, you got it. But probably the effect that is the most frustrating from a new player's perspective to deal with is okay, you bound my card. Now you're telling me I need to go search my deck for another copy of it, or you get even more power. That, I think, like my first couple times playing in an Narukami was the most like, why does this exist effect? Do I think it's the most powerful or the most broken effect? No, not now. But from a new player's perspective, I think that was probably the most, like, I guess, anti-fun would be the term I would use.
For Stunverse or Vowing Sword?
That was
Whichever
Vowing
one is
Sword.
Vowing Sword, I think.
That
is
gives the power is Vowing Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Stunverse works really well with Vowing Sword and soon to be Vowing Saber.
Yeah.
Because they have the exact same skill plus something.
Yeah.
So that's my thought about Eradicators. I do think that if your choices are either hit Choa to 2 or hit Stunverse to 2.
Personally, I would rather see Choa to 2. But
Yeah, because I do think Stunverse is still needed. I'm still going to end up first striding it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to put it to 1 because then if I have nothing to bind, the deck just doesn't work.
I mean, honestly, too, I don't think Choa to 1 does anything different, really.
No, because Exterminate lets me call a card from drop.
You're going to...
Sorry, not Exterminate. If I write into, what was it, Sweep Command?
Yes.
What was the card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I played the Sweep Command deck, I'm not running, technically, Vowing Sword. I could run Vowing Sword, but Descendant would be the better card.
Right.
Sorry, no, I would run Vowing Sword. So Sweep Command would write over, call Vowing Sword out, I get another attack, and then I can call a Choa later. But then that's after the first Vanguard swing, and then Sweep Command would be like a low 12. Mm-hmm. And then it could restamp, but that's also using a certain amount of counterblast that I'm not ready for.
Yeah, that's like kind of a weird like setting up for next turn, but then you leave the Choa to...
But the early push of Choa wouldn't exist. It would be the later push, which is fair because I feel like the later the game goes, you should be scaling.
I feel like that's kind of like Narukami's thing, right? Like it's a scaling to in-game deck. And right now, I feel like some of the frustration.
Well, when lightning strikes, it starts getting bigger, right?
Exactly.
Like that's how the deck was meant to be played.
I feel like maybe some of the frustration now is that
Have you looked at lightning? That's not how that works.
it's still
When the
feels-
storm starts, it gets louder.
for a late game.
You know what?
deck,
I feel Matt's pain.
You know
I'm a Narukami
He's
player.
gonna be okay.
I was already just cringing at that.
You sold your deck.
And?
You're not
Have you
our
seen Sun versus Price?
Yeah.
Can you
And I
blame him?
stayed with him.
Have you seen Crystal Luster price?
Have you seen
So you're
Voltage
selling
SP's price?
No.
Yes, I have seen
No.
Voltage's price.
We can talk.
Hey.
Put that right next to me, buddy boy.
All right, so we're pushing into the hour, right? We talked about the predictions that we assume are going to happen. Now, here's the biggest one, and he's already saying in the background. We were actually semi-leaked on the idea of overtriggers. There's no proof on it yet. Like, we're not even sure if it was a real leak. But if they hit overtriggers for premium, that would be insane. Like, we joked about it, right? It's like, what would happen if they hit overtriggers? Like, I'll have a 4th Year Water in my Gear Chronicle deck.
Yeah, we have a fourth crit.
Yeah, I put in another crit. Hey, but Ultima.
Yeah.
Hey, Ultima.
Yeah, literally, they could just take off the choice restriction with Ultima and
Yeah.
OT.
Because they'll no longer
Because there's no
exist.
OT anymore.
There's no OTs.
Yo, them prices for Ultima about to go up.
Order one.
That's
Just
gonna
in
be
case.
that's gonna be a fun moment. But remember, this is just a rumor and all that,
Yeah.
right? If they do hit it, I actually think premium may become a little bit slower because some decks were trying to take advantage of pushing for it, right?
Yeah, that brain game
So-
OT.
That Brandgate overtrigger was like the biggest problem for 2 decks. Was soon to be 2 decks
Yeah.
if they do hit it. because DP didn't get past 5 dry checks, but now it could with Unibird, right? And then there's Ace Buster, which is able to gain a drive every time something stands. And then like you hit like the over trigger and everything just doubles.
Now, I will say, because I just saw it at the corner of my eye in the chat, is the idea of keeping over trigger, but in premium, only allowing vanilla over trigger, which, I mean, could be interesting. But I feel like it does kind of offset a lot, because there are some decks right now that just want to run vanilla OT anyway.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the Cray Elemental one?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that still gives 2 million.
Yeah,
sorry,
it still gives 100 million.
700 million. Yeah.
I think that would be interesting.
I still think it'll be a problem.
But yeah, it's still going to be an issue. And like I said,
Child.
it's going to offset.
My Ezel deck runs the Cray Elemental.
I am well aware.
Yeah, you became real accustomed to that.
Luard runs the vanilla.
Yeah, Luard runs the vanilla.
Exactly,
It's
right?
still a problem.
So you still have like a weird offset of power, just in a different way.
yeah, different. Two things just got to be the size of Mount Everest. Like, I don't.
Now, my personal opinion, right? I'm fine either way. Because, again, right now, the clan I play the most is Royals. So if they hit OT, okay, I get a crit and Ultima. If they don't hit OT, my decks stay the same.
I'll tell you where it's a problem. You get a crit, you have to buy Ultima.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
So it must be nice. What in the world? Anyway.
Interesting.
It must be nice being able to, like, have that feeling. Because if I remember OTT,
Yeah.
Keter over,
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. Not going to lie to you.
Nah, again, yeah, I'm not saying Keter over isn't nice. Like, first grade 3 write-up, hit Keter over, and I'm calling, like, 2 or 3 Ashleys that turn.
No.
We eating good.
You
but-
haven't lived until you just went Fromage, Counterblast, Draw 2, Stride, Momo, Call Calico, push it into Soul, get 3 Amaterasus from deck, activate all 3, swing Momo, first strike, over trigger. You are living your best life at that point. You're eating real good, buddy.
Yeah.
So overall, I do think Overtrigger will be an interesting hit. I actually think it'll make English a lot more happier with the amount of negative anti-support for the Overtriggers to be removed is great. You're leading strong, Solemn. You're leading strong.
What is my OTT deck gonna look for now?
It's fine. You still have time.
Doesn't matter. OTT
It's still an unguardable unit.
Hey, so this is the meme section, right? You know, it'd be a great idea.
What's that?
Putting Calico back as first Vanguard. Or unrestricting Ichi.
That'll be a horrible idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
You might as well give me back the Overtrigger. Can you imagine someone says that? It's like, oh, well, Overtriggers are hits, so unrestrict die bonus. What?
Yeah, for those who think I was actually serious in that moment, no. No. You want to watch a deck go from like tier 1.5, tier 2
To tier 0.
to tier 0 in like overnight.
In an hour. The
Like,
moment it hits.
The moment Ichi's
You know, this
on
brings
man.
up a good conversation. A lot of people's only issue is the Brand Gate over, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't worry about the other overs because it only gives 1 million to one unit. It doesn't double the other unit's power. So, like, all you have to do is worry about another unit and guard it,
Yeah,
right?
it's still
Or
a
pop
K
it.
one too.
I mean,
Still K1's like 50-50 because it's like you get one of every trigger. You might as well have draw check 4 times. You get me?
I think the problem and
Yeah.
why the brand gate over is the bigger issue is because I think it's the most like forward impactful, right?
It doubles crit. If it
Yeah.
just doubled power, it'd
Now,
be fine.
again, this is someone who just last week went in with Messiahs and the game was going pretty average, and then I just won because I hit Brant over and swung with a 6 damage vocal key.
Exactly. So that's the point, right? The clans that the Brant Gate Overtrigger is in, 2 of the 3 run Force 2.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
So you're minimum 4 damage if you hit that.
Minimum. You are minimum 2/3
If it
of
makes you
someone's life total.
If the Link Joker player is playing Chaos, they only need Zirconium. They don't need Force 2.
Yeah. Even then.
Even
right?
then. And
So-
that thing is already at
Yeah.
4 damage.
So here's where I'm getting at, right? Because like the people's biggest issue was the Brancade over, right? And it was like, what if we just hit that? I'm like, well, if you do that to them, it's kind of
Yeah,
kinda
no, I
like-
think if you hit one, you have to hit them.
it's kind of disrespectful to the Brancade deck.
I mean, but we can be.
They can just
Listen.
errata it. I wouldn't mind them just broadening it to doubling the power. Because them being able to double crit is the thing that kills people the most.
But
Yeah.
then it's like,
Yeah.
I don't even think Brent Gate over is like a big issue in standard. So if they
Yeah.
errata that, it's kind of weird then to standard, unless you're saying errata only to premium.
Just the premium, it'd be fine.
I mean, they could.
That'd be
do that.
weird.
It'd be weird though.
really
Yeah.
weird. I mean, they've done things like that in the past with E premium and premium, where like a card was worded different.
Yeah, look at Riviere. You weren't there for that, and
I
you
was
better
not
thank
there.
your lucky stars, bro. That was terrible.
For everybody who's watching, if they can hear me, with veteran players like me and Frankie, just imagine our amazement at the ban list when Ripple Rush and 7Cs got hit.
Oh, 7C's getting hit.
7 C's Rush, the grade 1, grade 2 deck that just gave power to the board and is swung in. And because they never made the rule where if your opponent did not ride the preceding turn, you could stride, that had never existed. You both had to be at grade 3 to stride. So the whole deck was stopping your opponent from striding because the majority of all decks ran a grade 3 ride that said when this card's stridden on, you may activate this skill. So the best way to get around it was to not stride. Grade 2 game. Do what you got to do. You pushed, you did it.
Weren't you looking at some 7C stuff not too long ago?
So I'm looking for 7Cs, but not for 7Cs Rush, because 7Cs Rush would be a horrible deck now because
Right,
they make the
yeah.
rule.
It's also
Now-
still, hit on the ban.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like what?
So-
2 cards are banned still?
Yeah,
Grade
which
1
is the
to
grade
grade
0 that says at the beginning of your turn, if it's in your drop zone, mill 4.
Yeah.
And then the grade 1 that says retire one of your grand blue cards, and you may call this card, and it gains 3K, right? But there was cards that say when you call a 7Cs card, they gain 3K power. That card was almost an infinite loop with another card that now says Soul Blast. Because originally, before it was going to be released, didn't have Soul Blast and had almost the same skill. So you could just keep retiring them and then giving 3K to both these units.
No.
Then they added Soul Blast for that one card, and they will still ran because
Still good.
you just had Soul Blast.
You want to know what our out list saw that?
Prayer?
No.
No.
Seabreeze. And guess who got to abuse it still? The same deck. Because they ran 4 Seabreeze.
So there was a lot of options back in the day.
Back
Not
in the
really.
good old
There
days.
wasn't a lot of options.
Yeah, don't lie to yourself.
Now, coming to the end of the ban list, I just want to double check. Are there any clans that people have in it? Honorable mentions. I want to call these honorable mentions. Honorable mentions of clans that have too much and need to be restricted. I have one.
Oh yeah.
Starts with D and ends with P.
Oh, I wonder
Yeah.
what that could be. It doesn't end with
It
P.
doesn't end with-
It ends with
it
the
ends
E,
with E.
technically.
It ends with V,
Yeah.
but then the arrow is going to be Dragon Empire. Okay. The
Dimension
abbreviation
Police.
is D and P.
Dimension
Right.
Police.
We said
Dimension
clans,
Police. Now, my biggest issue with Dimension Police, right,
Yeah.
has to be
So the G-Guard.
no.
Yes.
What?
The G Guard is an issue because you can discard and just add 2 normal unit grade 3s to hand, and then
That
you can
are all
garbage
50k
over this.
shield.
You just
Yes,
guard.
I do agree, but they're just 1 card from hand. So if you had anything like a Battle Door effect, they still have to get rid of the 2. So the G Guard's not the biggest issue to me.
This is a hot take.
Oh, well, they're not going to hit it because it's a new card.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
What
Doesn't mean they
hit
shouldn't.
Cards before they
I mean,
They
hit
restricted
cards
new
before.
cards before we got them.
Yeah.
Now, here's the card I actually do think needs to get hit. I think the Stand Trigger needs to go.
Agreed.
Because my issue where Dimension Police is at is that they used to have so many cards with that effect, and it just targets Sentinels. Or sorry, it's targeted more than just Sentinels. It targeted all cards called the Guardian Circle. You can pop any of them, right? And I feel like you need to return to your roots. You can't just be banking on this card. Okay? Return to your roots.
put it in 1.
Put it...
No. Put it to 0. Just
So...
make it as God intended. Clean and wiped away. We don't talk about it.
Purge thy sins.
Purge the sin that was created years ago. Get it out of here.
Put it to 1 for now, and then if it's another issue, ban it.
I would test it.
I would test the 1.
Don't even give them anything.
I would test the 1.
Don't give me.
Look, it's not LJ. You can calm down a little bit.
Okay, I just have a hatred of Brantgate for whatever reason, but I'm fine with Novus for now.
But remember, the deck that's
against
using this the
Yu-Gi-Oh deck.
most is
I'm fine
Dimension.
with that.
The
Kind
deck
of.
that's using this the most. The deck that's using this the most, like I know I repeated myself 3 times, is Dimensional Robos. The deck that literally has strides that have the same effect, but can target any card on the Guardian Circle. Daikaiser Leon. The other one that's like red that says every time it's called Soul Blast 1, check top 3. If all 3 of them are Dimensional Robos, pop something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can play that card. That card's really good.
Your deck is a lot of bricks, but it's good.
And it should be a lot better now because you have all these grade 3s in deck when you need to dry check a grade 3. You have all these Dimensional Robos now that you don't have to worry about not running a Dimensional Robo. Like, go back to your roots. You got this, right? Don't bank yourself on one stride the entire time. And, like, I know this is coming from the Narcomic player that's going to first stride Stunverse, but, until you give me another card that gets Thunderstrike insanely quick,
Stunverse doesn't kill you first stride.
Stunverse does not kill you first stride.
Sunverse does not kill you first. No.
It
But-
kills my soul.
But DP just has to see the stand trigger.
Yeah.
And a 1, a 2, and a
3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah. They go from 1 to 2 to 3. And if they saw the the stand, they won. It is a non-negotiable. They got it. GG.
It's big. Now, next honorable mention. You guys have one?
So my problem with stuff like this is I've only played one clan a lot. So there are some things where it's like, I don't know if this is a matchup thing or if there's like, I don't know if this is a actual problem thing. You know what I mean? Like my first time playing against Chaos was a nightmare, but that's just a matchup thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
So you're worried about Link
Joker
Joker.
forever.
Exactly. So I don't think that there's any issue.
I think Blink Joker got hit enough. You got to give it a break. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Did you read
No.
Langos?
No, I'm saying specifically,
going.
I don't think.
You
shut up.
play Ezel.
And
Ezel needs to be banned. Enough said.
No. Hold on, no.
Scissors.
Lena, that reminds you, if anybody can hear me watching this podcast, Matt plays Ezel, and then he plays Aquaforce, which have a G-Guard that
And
can
he-
also unlock or countercharge.
And he hates LJ.
I uphaul the deck. But see, to give everyone context of why I despise LJ. When I first got back into Vanguard, Premium was finally introduced because when I first started playing, I played in BT and G era, so there was no Premium. I come back and I'm on the East Coast of the Treasure Coast. And for 2 years, the only decks that I could play against were Narukami, not Eradicators, because Eradicators wasn't a thing. It was Vanquisher, and Chaos. Specifically, Chaos. So for 2 years, if I wanted to play Premium, I had to play against Chaos because the Vanquisher player hardly show up.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, Chaos was made to counter the Ripple and 7 Seas run.
Right. Now, here's the other problem. You want to know what my Premium deck was? You want to take a...
Was it Musketeers?
It was Musketeers,
See,
and it was Royals.
see, that was your L, though, for picking Hundred Shadow.
Yeah, bro. You pick Salad
you're
Paladins
sliding
and then you pick Salad Paladins and you're complaining
Like,
to us.
I had to build a Harry
You know
deck
vegetables
in
raw,
order to
right?
have some type of fun. So in that span of 2 years of nothing but LJ, I have just developed a pure hatred of LJ and just want to see them suffer. I am living my best life with how Glendios is right now.
Nah,
I think it is a fun time for my life right
You
now.
see, I just accepted the fact that the clan that I chose to at least start with, we just lose into that. And actually, not even so much anymore, right? Because we got Ashley Reverse coming, and Ashley Reverse is an out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it gives us an option against Chaos, so I can't even complain too much about that.
You
But
just sit there and you're like, I hope you lock my card.
yeah, go ahead and lock my card.
there's a running
Give
gag.
yourself the Sentinel Restraint.
Right. There's a running gag with my friends in West Palm where I just want to burn one of every LJ card. And I have started. That's how much I hate Link Joker. I need you.
That's an expensive conquest.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I didn't say I had to own them. I just said I had to burn them. Bold of you to assume I own them.
I should do the same ritual, but for every sleep talking dog I come across.
I should message Richard and have him send me Link Joker comments so I can burn them. Whenever I feel sad about myself,
Just go burn an LJ.
yeah.
So as anyone's curiosity, Richard is the owner of Kingslayer Cards. We are going to be attending the Ramada Festival. I know this is an ad, but I will be continuing it. Next week, June 24th to the 26th, 25th and 26th are going to be the tournaments for Premium and Standard. Standard on the 25th, Premium on the 26th. All right, it is going to be a streamed event. You will be having commentators. Will I be a commentator? No, I am happy to say that I'll be playing the tournament. I will have some of this equipment there for use for the commentators, but I'm super excited to get on that table 1 or table 500, depending on how bad I do that thing, and show you what I got.
Nothing wrong with table 500.
Yeah.
Man's gonna sit at table 500, like playing gears, and he's gonna be like, "Look at how many times I can loop this water."
Look, I'm just trying not to go OX. That's all.
Yeah.
Bro, like, I remember someone telling me the other day that, if I can just break even, I'll be happy, right? And I'm like, the hell you think I am? I am not breaking even. You know how much I've invested into this card game? Me breaking even is the equivalent of me selling the deck that I played that day. All right?
Yikes.
That's an expensive
Yikes. That's
right.
expensive.
That's
All
gonna be
right.
the most expensive.
If
one.
I'm going to go into a tournament, I better be one match higher than my losses. If that is not the case, I'm not saying I will sell my deck, but I'll tell you right now, I will not be a happy camper. I'm not selling my ASRs. Chill.
You were gonna sell them.
I said it was the equivalent of selling my deck.
Yeah.
I can't back down. I said equivalent. And the story.
But you're not getting the money.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, hey, I'm proud to say that I'm starting a net positive with Grand Blue. It's won enough to where what I paid for it is now covered and then some.
What do you mean? You can just sell your greed.
Look, I'm going.
What do you think I did?
I'm going into my first major tournament for a card game specifically, right? With Royals.
Yeah, but you're playing Jewel Knights.
You're playing
Yeah, you're playing
Knights.
Jewel
What are you
Knights.
talking about?
Like-
You're literally the answer to Mega Colony.
Jeez.
Like,
Yeah, that's true.
you're the answer to
To
half
bucks.
the meta.
I'm
bucks.
barely the answer to
You're-
Mega Colony. If I call 2 unrulies and then they choose both of them and then they can't intercept, I'm XO.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm OX.
Yeah. Me, my Aqua Force tonight, listen, it's a 50-50 shot. Okay? It's a 50-50 shot. You know what that 50% of me losing is? Is I saw all the cards that don't push themselves to soul. What do you have?
All right.
Guess what?
All right.
You call from hand. I don't. Unless I go into
So-
Valios.
While they continue their rank, guys, I do think it's a good time to close it out for today. So, ban list, we do think we have our guesses. We have our honorable mentions. You let us know what you think and what do you want to see get banned. Please let us know. Well, actually, I don't know how you let us know.
Just message.
Facebook.
You know, post. I'm going to make a post of the same question on Twitter and comment what
Twitter.
card you want to get banned. Okay? Yeah, I have Twitter.
Twitter, Facebook.
Twitter,
Yeah.
We'll
Facebook.
post it. We'll post it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll post it on social media and you answer.
Just
What
look
card
for
do you-
his face and you'll
Dang, what the hell is
look
that
for that
supposed to
logo.
mean?
yeah, that one.
Yeah, okay, all right. I got no love here, guys. But yeah, that is going to be it for today's The Dojo, a Card Fighters podcast. I hope to see you guys next time. And remember, check out the Ramada next week. It will be the 25th, 26th, streamed on Kingslayer Cards' Twitch channel. And then we will be having a special The Dojo at the event every night. So that'll be on my account. So do check it out there. And I will re-say it during the stream as well. But that's going to be it for me today. This is Naru Samurai signing off. I know it's been a week. See you in the next one.
Thanks for watching The Dojo. If you would like to see more card fight content like this, make sure to catch The Dojo and Naru Samurai on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Spotify, and Apple Podcast.